Hey people, Mark from Vintage Audio Nagoya. Long time no see. Haven't made a lot of videos lately since Japan shut down my shipping due to the COVID situation. So it's been kind of a drag. And to pass time, I picked up an old reel-to-reel and super excited about it. I've been just loving this thing, even though it's a real budget Pioneer reel-to-reel. I'll show you a picture of it at the end. But I've been loving it. I bought 50 tapes the other day for 14 bucks delivered, and I was just ecstatic until I opened up the first one and they were covered in mold. I mean, it was not a pretty sight. So I went online and read some forums, and people said, just chuck them. I don't deal with old tapes, and mold will kill you. And I couldn't bring myself to do it, so I figured out, I think, a fairly simple method to clean these tapes up fairly well. So I'll show you that and see what you think. To do it, you're going to need some vinegar and water, an old t-shirt cut up, and a good mask, I recommend, and gloves if you're so inclined to wear gloves. I don't wear gloves. I just wash my hands really well when we're done. But we're going to take an extremely moldy tape and bring it back to a playable condition. So come join me on the roof, would ya? Okay, let's get started. I'm wearing a mask here like I recommend you do. See if we can get a shot of that. I'm smiling under here. It's my Corona mask, but in addition to that, we're going to use it to try to clean these up. So, as I mentioned, I went online and there were some suggestions on how to do it. Some suggestions were throw them in the garbage, which I couldn't bring myself to do, considering that there's some really good jazz on some of these. So I picked one that's in pretty rough condition to start with. And here's what we've got. We're going to sacrifice a little bit of tape, more than likely, in order to do this, but you're going to save the vast majority. So the first thing I do here, now you can wear gloves if you're more concerned about it, but I'm outside and I'm not overly concerned, but I'm pushing things off to one side here, alright? And then I'm going to just tuck this tape in the back here. Well, typically I would bring a piece of tape up, which I forgot to do. But anyway, imagine I taped that. Now, a couple old t-shirts, the thinner the better, I found. And this is just vinegar and water. Now, leave them out in the sun for a little while is a good idea too, but the vinegar will kill mold almost instantly. And just get you can pull this up a little bit and get that shirt between the tape and the plastic. And like I said, we're going to sacrifice a little tape, but that's just the way it is. So get that vinegar and about 50-50 diluted. Get that in between there like that, and then keep a thumb on it and kind of work that shirt around, putting pressure and pulling on it at the same time. And just keep working your way. I'm hoping you're seeing that all right, because I can't really see the camera angle real well. And I'm sure it's windy. I apologize for that. But just keep working this around, putting pressure like this, pulling, sliding. Get in there and work it around a little bit like that in those gaps. Keep pulling, sliding. If it starts to bunch up, it'll be harder to pull, so just kind of thin that back out so it's one layer, and just keep working it. Go around a few times. You can see how much mold has been picked up by the shirt already. And just do it till your heart's content. And then You can just let this air dry if you want to out in the sun, or take a second dry cloth, clean one, and repeat the process. Get that, try to find a good clean edge. Cleaner to cut, the better. But feed that one in there, and same idea. Just keep working that around. You'll dry it out and get any remnants that are in there. I found the thinner, older the t-shirt, the better, because it can be a pretty tight squeeze in there. That's basically it. You got it. Well, it gives you an idea what it looks like when it's done. And then the best thing to do is to take your machine outside and just run this thing fast forward all the way through. Any little spores that you might have missed, of course we're going to do the other side, any spores you might have missed will fly away on you. And you can do the paper towel on top of your playhead and run it through there and clean it up that way also. But anyway, I can't bring myself to throw these old tapes away, and this is a good way to get them nice and clean. You can see the difference. I'll do the other side and show you what we got. Okay, we got a lot of noise around here today, so I apologize for the jackhammers and the trains and everything else. But okay, for a final step here, I just take a little bit of that fresh vinegar and give the box a good wipe down inside and out, because you know there's spores all over that. I've got an old Porsche 911 in my garage. I went away to America for about 6 weeks, 7 weeks last year, and I came home, and to my absolute horror, the entire interior of that Porsche was covered in green mold. It had rained and got kind of wet in my garage, and I was just absolutely devastated. I mean, it was growing on the shift knob, growing on the steering wheel, on the seats, thick. And that's when I researched how to kill mold, and I brought it out in the sun, put a mask on obviously, and brought it out in the sun, and with some vinegar and a little bit of the sun's magic, I wiped that thing down, and it's been absolutely perfect ever since. So I'm a firm believer in the vinegar. So here it is. Again, we can let this air dry a little bit more, and if you're really concerned, run it through on fast forward and let those remaining spores fly out of there. But these are so tightly packed that the majority of the mold is just on the surface, and you've saved an old tape. All right, thanks for watching. Check out Vintage Audio Nagoya on Instagram, and this is kind of a departure for me. We're not usually talking about reel-to-reel tapes, but just vintage music equipment in general. Stay safe, people. Wash your hands. Wear a mask. Okay, granted, this is some pretty lo-fi quality filming here. We're pretty blown out. We got an awful lot of sun. Full disclosure, no shower today. Quarantine time. We're hanging out. Let's feed this through. This is the tape we just cleaned up, so it's a mystery tape. We don't know what we're getting here. Let's find out. We've been alternating between classical music and jazz. I'm hoping for the jazz on this one. We'll see. And I'll just run that around a couple times. This didn't come with stoppers, but these are little foam furniture pads, and I just took a center punch and popped out a leather punch and popped out the centers on them, and they fit nice and snug. So if you don't have any, that's an option. All right, let's see what we got here. Some opera, it sounds like. Well, can't win them all. But it's a saved tape that I can record over. Thanks for joining me.